1 year ago today, 3 staff members and 14 students at Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida, were killed in a mass shooting. Among the victims, Joaquin Oliver, a 17-year-old senior at the school. Now his parents are fighting for change.
They've turned tragedy into activism and are pushing for better school safety and tighter gun laws. And Joaquin's parents are joining us now. Patricia and Manuel Oliver, you're with us now to talk about what has happened over the last year. Now, we saw you, I think, in August, and you were using your art to get the message out. Since then, there have been a lot of changes, particularly at the state level. Just sort of tell me, how are you feeling about how things are developing?
Well, number one, we are still using our art. You need to be constant in your message, and we will keep on doing that. That's the reason why we're in New York, by the way. And I feel that we have reached some of the goals that we want, but it's just the beginning. Today, still, your kids are not safe enough. Your kids are not safe enough, and there is no way for us to protect Joaquin, but we decided that we will protect every other kid in this nation. So there's many things that still need to be done, and that's what we're fighting for.
What have you seen so far that you like?
Well, they just passed the universal background check on a first level, and now it will go to the floor in Congress, and it will pass again.
Yeah.
So that's good. That's benefit for everyone, regardless which party you belong to, or if you're a gun owner or not. This is a good thing. That
particular thing, expanded background checks, that has support basically across the board.
97%.
Right, exactly. Even among NRA members, they want to see that. So that's good. That should have been a layup. That should have been an easy one.
But now here's the thing. Yes, 97% of us believe in that and think. But then there's 100 guys in Senate that will need to make a final decision. So how is that even possible?
Right.
So they should understand this message and not wait. They have kids, by the way. If they need to go through what we went through to understand it, that's not the right path to take. You should listen to Patricia as a mother that cannot hug her kid anymore and just go ahead and pass it before you are in our shoes. You can just do that right now. It's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
And Manuel, you tried to recently make that case to Congressman Matt Gaetz during a hearing on gun violence, and he pivoted the discussion to saying that the greater threat to American children, I guess, is having a border wall. What is your response, Patricia, to what Congressman Gaetz said?
Well, definitely, he was in the wrong room at that time that he made that comment.
This was a hearing on gun violence.
Exactly,
this wasn't a hearing about a wall.
Exactly. So how come you're going to come here and show up talking about the wall? That is nothing to be with that. So I think at that moment, Manuel was very clear and made a point. You know, we are just looking after each of you, and we are here to tell you that once again, if you didn't hear from us before, because we've been doing these statements, and we are just there to make you clear that we have to keep going and we have to focus. So don't take us away. Don't sell your wall. We are here for a reason, for gun violence hearing, so let's listen to that.
You're wearing a picture of your son, Joaquin, on your necklace there. And I just wonder, as a mother, as a father, as someone who lost a child, which no parent should ever have to do, to bury a child, when you hear politicians try to politicize what is a very real issue for both of you, by pivoting a discussion to something that is really all about politics.
It's unrelated.
How does that make you feel?
Let me use my best Latino accent to answer to this. My son Joaquin was murdered by an American white male born here. And my son Joaquin, Manuel and Patricia and Andrea, we came to this country to be safe. That was the reason, number one, why we moved here. So that said, that is another problem, my friend. My son Joaquin, again, was murdered by a problem that we have in here and needs to be solved here. Now we have more reasons to stay here than the ones that we had to move here. So, Mr. Gaetz, you will have to deal with this, because I'm going to stand up for my son every time I have to do it, because I'm still his dad and Patricia is still his mom.
And that's a warning. That was a warning, because every other politician that believe that they're going to come with that kind of comments with no feedback, no, we are focusing that, and we don't want to forget, even you try over and over and again. So that's why.
And I don't want that guy to be the story. So
No.
the real name here, what really matters is Joaquin Oliver and the other 40,000 victims that per year lose their lives because of gun violence.
I saw when you spoke to our CBS Evening News anchor, Jeff Glor, you talked about your son being an activist, not a victim, an activist. And you point out that he wrote about this very thing years before the shooting just a year ago. Can you talk about that letter that you shared with Jeff Glor?
Patricia found that letter because something that we have done is getting used to not having your son at home anymore. You go through his things, and it's a way to be close to him. Patricia found that letter. She called me immediately. Hey, listen, I just found this. It's a letter that Joaquin wrote to the gun owners, basically to the gun lobby, demanding that we should have universal background checks. This was 6 years ago. Joaquin was 12 years old. Wow. So he knew what he was fighting for.
Yeah.
He left that letter and other things so we can go ahead and continue his vision, his fight. So we decided one day that Joaquin, you know what, he's an activist. And he's still here, and he's going to be leading this movement, and we just need to do what he wanted us to do.
Yeah.
That's what we do here. We are parents before anything. And
Patricia, when you found that letter, did you see it as a sign? Did you see it as Joaquin saying, good job, Mom?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Well, it was very impactful when I found it, and it took me a while to, wow, this kid is something else.
Yeah.
So he put me in that situation because I was looking at papers, and then I grabbed the essay, and I say, oh, my God, this kid was beyond any of us looking, forward in what was a really, really big problem, that because he was concerned about also Sandy Hook. I don't remember that. And he was a kid.
He was a kid when it
He was a
happened.
kid
Yeah, right.
when it happened. So imagine that. So that's the hope. Seeing what Joaquin was visionary in that moment and seeing now, today, the kids, the way are reacting is amazing.
It is striking to me that I was telling you earlier that I did a story where we watched an active shooter drill of 3rd and 4th graders going through active shooter drills. And one of the parents of the children who knew, because they had received the letter from the school saying the children are going to be engaging in these active shooter drills, and they signed it, but they had never seen it. They'd never seen the kids going through the act of trying to protect themselves against an active shooter. And I think a lot of parents, they know that there's violence out there on the streets. They know that there's even violence in the schools. But until you see a little 4-foot-tall human trying to protect themselves with a pencil or a pencil bag, it really drives it home for the parents. And I wonder, knowing that Joaquin thought about Sandy Hook even though he was a little child, you knew that there was this happening across America in American schools. Just take me back to that day when you started to hear the news reports, but you didn't know who had been killed. What did you think in your mind when you started to see what was going on in Marjory Stoneman Douglas?
Well, that is a question that I've been having before, and you never gonna think that your kid is a victim. Never. Not even I received a phone call at 1:30 in the morning, and we got the news at 2:30. And at that moment, this lady told me, I am so sorry to tell you this, but I know that your son is on the news already, that is part of the victims. And I say, thank you. And I just hung up the
You
phone.
didn't believe it.
You not want to believe that. You never want to believe that until they tell you. You always have your hope inside yourself, no matter what. No matter what. You always want to think that your kid is okay. He's in a hospital, but we don't know where it is. What happened to him? Something happened, of course, because we don't know about him. But I don't think any parents will be in that position thinking that far. Never, never. You have the hope always with you.
And it's sadly something that a lot of parents are facing increasingly in this country. Thank you both so much for coming and sharing your thoughts with us. I know it's a difficult day, and I know it will be a difficult days until the rest of your days, but we thank you for sharing your story with us and the rest of the country. Thank you very much.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
And a quick programming note tonight, you can stream a CBS News special, 39 Days, about how Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School mobilized in the days following the shooting. That will stream tonight at 8 and 11 Eastern on CBSN and is available anytime on CBSNews.com.